God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Moving on, item 3, proclamations, Teen Challenge of Arizona Day.
Whereas citizens of all ages, races, and ethnic and socioeconomic backgrounds are witnessing the devastation of the effect of drug abuse in our community, and whereas Teen Challenge of Arizona has played a significant role in eradicating drug abuse in our community and state, and has made a substantial impact in lives torn apart by drug, alcohol, and life-controlling addictions for over 57 years. And whereas Teen Challenge of Arizona offers hope in winning the war on drugs with a documented success rate of 79%. And whereas families and individuals affected by drug abuse can now, with the aid of individuals, businesses, organizations, and governmental leaders who support the ministry of Teen Challenge of Arizona, get help and receive a new life given back to them by the recovery program offered at Teen Challenge of Arizona. Now therefore, I, Kalpaguda, Mayor of the Town of Prescott Valley, Arizona, do hereby proclaim April 29, 2022 to be Teen Challenge of Arizona Day in Prescott Valley, and encourage all citizens to join together in recognition and celebration of the outstanding results of this ministry.
Do we have anyone from Teen Challenge? All right, with that being said, right along on this one. National Arbor Day proclamation. Anyone from that? Come on down.
Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of businesses, areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, whereas this year marks the 150th anniversary of the Tree Planters Holiday. Now therefore, I, Kalpaguda, Mayor of the Town of Prescott Valley, Arizona, do hereby proclaim April 29, 2022 as Arbor Day in the Town of Prescott Valley, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
This year, on April 29th, we'll be celebrating Arbor Day here at the Civic Center, where the Parks and Rec Department will work with some of the local school groups to plant a few trees.
Next up, Fair Housing Proclamation.
Whereas the Civil Rights Act of 1968, commonly known as the Federal Fair Housing Act, and the Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1988 prohibit discrimination in the sale, rental, leasing, and financing of housing or land to be used for the construction of housing or in the provision of brokerage services on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, and national origin. And whereas the 1968 and 1988 Federal Fair Housing Act declared that it is a national policy to ensure equal opportunities in housing, and whereas April has traditionally been designated as Fair Housing Month in the United States, now therefore, I, Mayor Kalpaguda of the Town of Prescott Valley, do hereby proclaim April 2022 as Fair Housing Month in the Town of Prescott Valley, and do hereby urge all residents of this community to comply with and show their support for the letter and spirit of the Fair Housing Acts. Thank you.
Last one is Arizona Water Professionals Appreciation Week.
Whereas thousands of water, wastewater, and recycled water industry professionals in the state are dedicated to ensuring these water resources are safe and reliable for use for every home and every sector of the town's economy, from finance to healthcare, are well managed for now and future generations. Whereas riparian corridors are important water-dependent environmental resources that contribute to Prescott Valley's beauty and offer unique recreational opportunities. Whereas Prescott Valley has been a leader in sustainable management of groundwater resources and has pioneered innovations such as water recharge and expanding the reuse of treated wastewater to replenish aquifers and improve local water supply reliability. And whereas the town values water reuse in the community, water conservation and efficiency are vital components of water management for a sustainable water future. And whereas the town invests annually in water-related programs and projects that provide drinking water and sanitary services, protect public health and the environment, improve water supply reliability, and replenish and clean up its groundwater supply. Protection of our water resources is essential to our future and requires a well-trained workforce of water professionals. And whereas Arizona's water industry offers a wide variety of rewarding career opportunities in engineering, hydrology, water operations, biology, policy, economics, business administration, law, and communications. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Kilpaguda, Mayor of the Town of Prescott Valley, do hereby proclaim April 11 to the 17th as Arizona Water Professionals Appreciation Week.
Thank you. We appreciate the recognition on behalf of the Utilities Department and also the Finance Department, which is where our billing department people reside. We have a lot of people out there that provide water and wastewater services to our citizens. And this is kind of special because most of the time we don't want recognition. When we get recognized, most of the time it's something bad, like there's a sewer spill, you don't have water at your house, those kinds of things. We strive to fly under the radar and never be noticed. So this is a little bit different for us, but we appreciate it. We've got some guys here, some of the operators and managers from Jacobs, who is our contract operating company, but there are dozens and dozens of people that work in the background to make sure that our citizens have water and wastewater service every single day, and most of the time we go unnoticed, which that's fine for me. But anyways, I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything, but again, thank you.
Last picture, John.
See, just when you thought we weren't going to have the reps from Teen Challenge here, they showed up. So we're going to give them a couple minutes and welcome.
Hello, hi, my name's Adam. I work with Teen Challenge of Arizona. This is Travis, he's also working with us. Teen Challenge is a rehabilitation program that helps out young men and women dealing with any type of life-controlling addiction. I work in the public relations department, and we're having a banquet out here in Prescott. It's going to be on the 29th, and we're here to receive a proclamation, right, for the banquet. So thank you for having us.
Moving on to service awards, staff service award for Brent Juries, Park and Rec. Brent, come on down here. So I was confused, folks, if you didn't catch on to this, because I know this man right here as Bruno, not as Brent. So you threw me off for a moment. Bobby, take it away.
So we have a quick little speech. It was prepared by Bruno's direct supervisor, Nick, and I will be reading that for you. You'll hear Bruno, but Brent Juries, can't say enough great things about this gentleman. He is such an asset to the town and the community as a whole. So without further ado, Bruno is an exceptional employee and individual. I've been fortunate enough to work alongside Bruno for 10 years and witness it firsthand. Bruno first came to the town as a park seasonal in 2010, impressing everyone who crossed his path. He was able to obtain a full-time position as a streets laborer with our Public Works Department in 2012. And after 3 years with Public Works, the Parks Division was able to bring him back as a full-time maintenance worker too, leading our playground, facility, and infrastructure repair programs. Over the last 7 years, Bruno has been an integral part of our parks maintenance operations. His vast construction background and experience has allowed Bruno to be a pivotal asset to our team. Bruno had a hand in everything we do, whether it be our day-to-day maintenance or our large projects such as the design and construction of Bob Edwards and Santa Fe Station parks. Bruno is always involved. More important than the physical work Bruno provides is his positive attitude, that winning smile, and teamwork that I appreciate the most. He's an exceptional crew member, handling the bulk of staff training, leading crews during projects, and is an important sounding board for me to bounce ideas off of. Bruno is the type of employee and friend every supervisor envisions, and I appreciate everything he does in our parks maintenance program. Thank you guys so much, and all I can say is 10 years with Bruno feels more like getting 20 years out of it. He is an amazing employee and a fantastic person to be around. Bruno, thank you so much for everything.
Councilwoman?
I haven't yet had the opportunity to meet you, Bruno. I love your name. And but we so appreciate everything that you've done for us here, and we look forward to many more years.
Councilwoman?
Thank you so much for your service to the parks. I have 2 kids who've grown up here, and now one of them plays baseball and umpires, so we spent a lot of time out there, and I appreciate all your work. Thank you.
Bruno, thank you for your service. It's always good to see you either in the grocery store or in one of the parks, and I'm really proud of you, and I thank you for your service.
Now, thank you. I believe I've seen you around the parks, obviously. Is your real name Brent or is it Bruno? Brent. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to call you Bruno. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And again, ditto to everything else everyone has said, and it's usually the people behind the scenes that are doing the hardest work. So thank you so much for all you do.
You wrote on the float.
Yeah, I know. I remember that. So thank you.
Bruno, I haven't met you again, but thanks again for the 10 years here, and I wish you many, many more years with Prescott Valley, and again, thanks for going above and beyond.
So for those of you that have children and you've seen the Disney movie Encanto, where we don't talk about Bruno, well, we're talking about Bruno because Bruno is an amazing man who's done great things. And one of the things that many might not know is Bruno was responsible for helping construct the light parade float for the 40th anniversary, right? Which was a huge undertaking. And the things that Bruno does, we take for granted. But if they weren't done, we'd be like, why isn't this done? So that just says a testament, Bruno, to all the great things you do. You're always out there with a smile. You're working hard. And not a single person has ever said, gosh, dang it, where's Bruno? Why isn't he here for this? Because Bruno does, truly, you're an asset to Prescott Valley. So thank you for everything you do. So.
Thank you.
Thank
you, everybody. This is the longest job I ever had, and it's like family. So I enjoy every day going to work, and it's the best thing ever. Thank you very much.
All right, next up, he's already up here, folks. Staff Service Award for Mr. Bobby Kieran.
I just want to say also with Bruno, having really getting to know him the last 2 years has been amazing. He is such a hard worker, and he's so fun. He makes me laugh so hard. And anybody who knows me knows that I love to laugh. So Bruno, thank you for making me laugh. All right. I know that I have to be brief in my summary of Bobby's time at the town, but I need to let you know it's going to be difficult. So pitter patter, let's get at her. Bobby has officially been with the town for 10 years, but really he started out as a park seasonal in 2006. As a young seasonal, you can only imagine the stories. One of my favorite ones that Nick Grubluski told me, he's our parks manager, they were using a chop saw on concrete in the park, and sparks flew up and caught Bobby's pants on fire. Needless to say, Bobby always says that he's on fire. Bobby always says he's okay, but as Bobby was only a seasonal, he left in 2007 for NAU, and after he graduated, he came back in 2009 as the aquatics coordinator for his internship, and then he was hired on as a full-time employee in 2012. At least that's what you told me. Okay. I first met Bobby when I was having difficulty hiring a library manager in 2018. Karen Smith, who's our HR director, and Jamie Buckman, who is our HR manager, had suggested that I have a conversation with Bobby as he wanted to move up in Parks and Rec, but there were no promotional opportunities at the time. I was hesitant as he didn't have any library experience. But after spending an hour with him discussing the position, the expectations, I knew he would be amazing. As I said, you said yesterday, he was my 19th choice. I didn't have any other choices. I just had to go with it. As our new public services manager, he was extremely personable, very knowledgeable at the town, and knew just about everyone. I had to quickly get him up to speed regarding library technology, collection development practices, building and security issues here. As we all know, this library has many, budgets, and working our public service desks. He was quickly immersed in library culture and became my right hand. In 2020, I was given the opportunity to be the director of a newly merged department called Community Services, Library, Arts, Parks, and Recreation. And I knew that I couldn't do this merge without him. You should have seen his face when I told him we were going to oversee Parks and Rec. Those who knew Bobby understand that he gives 120%. In the 4 years that I have known him, he has only called out once, and that was because he had COVID and he continued to work at home. He is always up for a challenge and is one of the most dedicated and versatile managers I have ever worked with. Yes, you are. He managed the largest amount of CIPs in our department with Nick Grubluski's help, and has including overseeing the installation of new salt cells at the pool, being relentless with our pool vendor, and other renovations, new furniture for the library, pickleball courts, splashball courts, that's what we need, splash pad, pickleball courts, ramadas, and the installation of 2 new statues at the Civic Center. He can be on the phone with a community member about pickleball, then switch over to handle tech issues at the library. He will sit down with any staff member and discuss ways to make something more efficient, train staff to rebuild a pool pump, coach an employee through a difficult situation, drag me up Glassford Hill to plot a new trail, or just work shoulder to shoulder. One of my favorite things about Bobby is he never takes himself so seriously. We have a lot of responsibility in our department, and we can always be pulled in a million different directions, but he always stays positive. During difficult times, he always says that we need to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and keep moving forward, or we always threaten to shank each other. I know Bobby's peers look up to him and maybe even adore him in the jingling of his keys to signal he is on his way. He is very loyal not only to this department, but to the town. You can tell he loves what he does and has my back and our department's back 100%. Congratulations, Bobby. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman?
Obviously, you wear a lot of hats. It's just a matter of turning it. Yes, and you've had been involved in just about every project that since I've been here, and you always have such a great attitude and a wonderful smile. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us.
Another thing that Bobby's done, last year we were in a Matt Force working group subgroup to come up with ideas of, led by Miss Bree, to come up with ideas for what can we do as a town to create more things for kids to do. And, you know, I'm the idea guy, and Bobby's like, yeah, we can do that, and I just pass my ideas along to Bobby, and he makes them happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. The words that, when Casey was reading, the words that came to mind to describe you were flexible, can-do, and hopeful, and those are all invaluable. And I thank you very much, and I'm really proud of you.
Yeah, thank you, Bobby, for your service. Casey better watch out. I'm so glad you are why the town is so successful. You and folks just like you. There's so much appreciated what you do. Thank you very much.
Especially when Casey said immersed, because that's really truly what part of the job is. You jumped in with both feet and you got immersed. And thank you so much for all the diversity that you do bring and that you keep an open mind. And it's only been 10 years, so you've got a long way to go. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Hey, Bobby, congratulations on the 10 years here. You and I have worked in the past with some of the things with Theater on the Greens, and I've worked with you that you've helped me out in getting the stuff settled, and I appreciate that, and I wish you many, many more years here with PV.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
As you can hear, Bobby is basically the guy that gets things done, right? He doesn't say no, doesn't say we can't do it. He just tries to figure out a way to make it happen, which is a skill that you can't be taught. So, Bobby, you are truly an asset here, and we're glad you got 10 in. Thank you, sir. Mike's yours.
All right, perfect. I have a tendency to be loquacious, so I will keep this brief. 10 years here has been a fantastic opportunity. I really can't imagine working anywhere else. Town of Prescott Valley has the best citizens, the best staff, and we're always doing big things. I love that executive management and council trusts everyone to bring the vision that they give us in the direction to fruition, and here's to looking at another 20 or 30. So, thank you.
Next up, item 5, Chamber of Commerce presentation, Ms. Katie Swan.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and our town council members. It is so nice to be up here tonight with the Chamber of Commerce. It's just another way to show that our community continues to grow, and I have two really great examples of that tonight. My first example of that is Charlie Arnold. He is with Wheelhouse Sports Complex, which I'm sure you all know a lot about, and he's going to tell you a little bit more.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's nice to see you all again. This is a great opportunity just to provide a quick update to you and the community. Things at the Wheelhouse are going great. Construction has been well underway, and we're very pleased with our progress. May 6th, starting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we're going to be hosting a community open house, and at 5:30, we're going to be doing a ceremonial puck drop with a bunch of our kids that have been taking part in our construction and some of the efforts that have been undertaken. I know it's PV days that weekend, but the Chamber's going to be busy setting up, so it's the perfect time for you all to escape and come hang out, check out all of the things that are happening. For the folks in the community that might not be aware, just a reminder, it's 60,000 square feet, 12 acres, 14 different sports. It's right next to the racetrack off 89A. A beautiful sign. I know Ryan was able to show that to you all here at your recent meeting, and we're just super excited about it. You can find out more at wheelhouseaz.com. You can also find us on social media, wheelhouseaz. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And my next great example of how our community is growing very quickly is I have Karen Pete with Remax Fine Properties. And as we all know, housing is a hot topic here in the area. So she's here to tell you a little bit more.
Welcome, ma'am.
I am so excited to be here. It's been about a 10-year dream to live in Prescott Valley, so I'm here. I am a realtor of 18 and a half years. I have been business coached by a company 17 years of my 18 and a half years, Buffini & Company out of Southern California. I started training with them about 2 months after I got my license, so it's really all I know. So my philosophy might be a little bit different than people. I'm not just a transactional agent. I try to be a resource for clients before, during, and after they purchase their home. So when they need a plumber or an auto mechanic or someone to groom their dog, I hopefully can put them in touch with people that would be able to help them. I work 100% by referral. Now that I'm down in Prescott Valley, I spent 30 years in Flagstaff, and practiced up there as well. That's a tough market. This is better. You have more to choose from. There's a lot of building going on, which really gives people and provides them a lot more opportunity. I'm very grateful for that. Love the weather and the seasons, and I'm happy to be of help if I could be of assistance to anyone. It's a hot market, yes, but it still is a great time for first-time home buyers and folks to get into homes because the interest rates are still relatively low, and it's a great opportunity for everyone. So I'm honored to be of service.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you all very much, and you're doing a great job.
Moving on, item 6, call to the public. At this time, members of the public may comment on matters listed on the agenda or solely on matters within the jurisdiction of the town. Any persons wishing to address the council must complete a speaker card located inside the entrance of the council chambers and deliver it to the town clerk prior to the commencement of the meeting. The council's response is limited to responding to criticism, asking staff to review a matter commented upon, or asking that a matter be put on a future agenda. Such remarks shall be limited to 3 minutes unless additional time is granted by the mayor. Clerk?
I have Bruce Evans.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Mayor and councilors, this is just a brief thank you. On your consent agenda is about the non-widening of BMR for now, Bradshaw Mountain Road and Quailwood. And it was interesting a few months ago when we were reminded that that was coming up for execution. Our HOA board brought in the vice mayor, who brought in the mayor, who brought in the town manager, who brought in the developer. And inside a week, we had a solution that I think made everybody happy. And it was sort of elegantly simple. And if eventually we do lose our trees and our front door gets widened, we know it wasn't for lack of trying and a can-do attitude. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Clerk?
I don't have anyone else.
No one else, clerk? I'm sorry.
No one else.
All right, moving on. Item 7, council communications. Councilwoman Dickinson, would you like to lead us off?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. We've had a couple of very busy weeks, but just a couple of items here. This evening, I would like to thank Dr. Lisa Ryan, president of Yavapai College, and all the members of the district governing board for Yavapai College for hosting us with a wonderful buffet on Tuesday at the Rock House on the Prescott Yavapai College campus to share with us their community update and economic development strategic plan. We can be very proud of this college as a whole, and specifically the Prescott Valley Yavapai College campus and the courses, degrees, and certificates that they are developing here to help improve our quality of life and support regional prosperity. I especially found the REDC, or the Regional Economic Development Center opportunities, which has its main office here in Prescott Valley. They are providing to aid local municipalities and agencies with job creation through their job fair at Findlay Toyota Center and regional collaboration with the Small Business Development Center. Very commendable. And it would be remiss to not mention that the Yavapai College Performing Arts Center is now selling tickets for Hello Dolly in November, starring one of our very own, Marnie Ohl, CEO of Prescott Valley Chamber. And we want to thank them again for having us at their facility. Also, we want to thank the Highlands Center and Department of Forestry for presenting a program on how and why they do prescribed burns for us this last week, and all the care that goes into doing a prescribed burn. They started out showing us from the very beginning how they set fire to the scrub around the trees and monitor it, and all the care that they put into this. And we want to thank them for the time that they spent with us.
Councilwoman?
I know that he already left. He made a point of telling us at 5:05 that he had been retired for 5 minutes. But Water Resources Manager John Munderloh is retiring, and I personally am bereft. I've worked with John quite a bit on town business, and then also in the Upper Verde River Watershed Protection Coalition. So he's going to be greatly missed, but I know he's very excited about retirement, and so I just want to thank him for his years of service with Prescott Valley and his infinite knowledge on water.
Vice Mayor?
I ditto that. I know we all do. My husband and I had the opportunity to visit the Wheelhouse this week, which Charlie Arnold just talked about. It's pretty amazing. For the minimal amount of investment that we had to do as a council to bring that facility to Prescott Valley, and the improvements that he's making to a very old facility to make it look new at his expense, it's pretty amazing. There's going to be a lot of protective factors for our youth out there. There's like 13 or 14 different sports, BMX, outdoor football, everything. It's going to be awesome. And then this week I also got an opportunity to speak to some of the primary benefactors of the House of Hope, which is a facility in Prescott Valley that takes homeless seniors off the streets and provides a home for them. We have 2 houses in Prescott Valley for a total of 15 residents, and it is House of Hope, and it is a very, very awesome facility. So if you're looking for something to donate to, House of Hope 316. And then we also had the opportunity to attend the annual Teacher of the Year banquet, which is always an awesome event where the kids nominate teachers. It's a tearjerker for the most part, but please, if you have an opportunity, invest in our local schools. Drop off tissues, drop off sanitary wipes, whatever you can do, they need it. The classrooms need it.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman?
Yes, you folks, probably most of you are, at least people at work, are aware that I have therapy animals that I visit local hospitals and hospice with. Tuesday was the first day that YMRC opened up patient visits since March of 2020. So we were the first team to go in there and visit the pints, and believe it or not, they didn't notice it, but boy, did the staff notice it. They hugged them dogs beyond comprehension. Anyway, I'm glad to be back in that. Thank you.
Councilwoman?
And again, just since we're going over history as well, we recently had the police awards banquet as well, and I just want to say congratulations to all of our police officers who were receiving so many awards. It was an amazing night as well, seeing everyone in uniform and all together. It was really a great event. And I just wanted to say congratulations to Mayor Palguda. Michael Greer and myself were going to be able to be on the ballot for the upcoming election, August 2nd. It'll be the primary, and it's going to have quite a bit of a big competition on coming up for all the major positions in our state, including governor and senators and things. So just stay aware of who is running, because it's going to be pretty interesting coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman?
I would just like to put a hand out to our new police chief, Bob Tizer. Welcome him to Prescott Valley. This was his first week here. So again, thank you for your time. He's standing up in the back there for the people that don't know him. And he's currently going to be building a house and moving his family down here, but he's on the job starting as of just Monday of this week. Thank you, sir, for coming in.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to item 8, Mr. Davidson, manager's report.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, so the council monthly report is available. It's online for all of our public to be able to read and see about the various development activities taking place throughout the community. I too want to welcome Chief Ticer. Excited to have him on board with the team and the things that he's going to be doing in service to our police department and broader community. And I have 2 exciting staff announcements of some great recognition for our community. So first, I'm thankful that she has not left the room yet, but Casey Van Haren was elected by her peers to represent the Statewide Library Association as its president. So that's a huge compliment to our community that one of our esteemed staff members is in a key leadership position statewide. So
you can clap for that.
The other one is our deputy town manager, Ryan Judy, has received a very prestigious full paid scholarship to the Harvard Kennedy School. It's called the Senior Executives in State and Local Government. There's only 2 scholarships given each year here in Arizona, full ride scholarships. And Mr. Judy won one of those and will be going this summer to the Harvard campus and get to attend some incredible academic sessions. And we'll be able to come back with some exciting things that's going to help support our community. So congratulations.
All right, moving on, item 9, consent agenda. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered routine by the town council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Mr. Mayor, I need to abstain from 9G because I am on the Humboldt Education Foundation Board and I happen to fill out the application.
So, Mr. Legler, would it be easier if she just abstains from the entire thing, or should we pull item 9G?
Why don't she go ahead and just abstain from the whole thing, and that'll make it easy.
That being said, can I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Clerk, please call the vote.
Councilmember Dickinson?
Yes.
That passes, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. And just confirming, clerk, are we still on for item 10A?
No.
Okay. At this time, we'll be skipping, or we'll be removing item 10A from the agenda. Moving on to item 10B, amendment to Yavapai County Election Services, IGA, consideration and possible action. Ms. Fernandez?
So good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. The item in front of you is to consider the possibility of entering into an intergovernmental agreement with Yavapai County for an on-site, in-person early voting location here in Prescott Valley on our main building next door. In addition to the existing ballot drop box that we have, the proposed early voting site would allow residents access to in-person voting for the entire period of early voting for both the primary and the general election coming up. We all know that elections are very important, so today with us, I'm pleased to introduce very special guests, Lauren Custis and Karen McCracken from the Yavapai County Register of Voters, that will go over a few details of the proposed early voting site.
Welcome, ladies.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Lauren Custis. I'm the Registrar of Voters for Yavapai County, and I've got Karen McCracken here. She's our Chief Deputy Recorder, and we're here representing our recorder, Leslie Hoffman, tonight. We are here to talk, and very happy to talk about a proposed third location for early voting for our county. The proposed early voting location would be the third floor lobby of the Civic Center. Early voting dates, for the primary would start July 6th and go through July 29th, and for the general election, October 12th through November 4th. Voting days and hours would be Monday through Friday. We would start at 9 a.m. and end at 4 p.m. with an hour to set up and an hour to break down every day. And then that equipment would be stored overnight with the town clerk's office during the overnight hours and for weekends. Switch the slide. So this is just a quick little chart on data for early voting. Vote by mail has been very popular in our county since 2016, when those two diverged, the early voting and in-person voting on Election Day. So we do have a lot of people who like to early vote and who like to early vote in person. During the 2020 general election, we had approximately 10,000 people vote in person early. This is an aerial picture. This came from the Daily Courier, excuse me. We had lines wrapped around our building, and we are coming to you to attempt to alleviate some of those lines and wait times for our voters. This is a picture of the third floor lobby, and we would be setting up, and we've got a little chart on the next page. We would be having a check-in, our printers, our ADA voting equipment, voting booths, and then the ballot box just along that one windowed wall, so that we could have a flow of traffic coming through and the ability to accommodate any ADA voters. I think, so any questions?
Clerk, you want to add anything to that? Council?
We still have mail-in voting is still legal?
Absolutely, we will still be having, yes.
They're not
As of today, we don't know of any new bills coming through the legislature, but as of today, we still have early voting.
Okay, thank you.
We have early voting by mail and in-person early voting, yes.
Vice Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, will you tell Leslie we appreciate this? I think it was very much needed. We too had very long lines at both of our facilities, and I'm glad you're adding a third one. Do we know where that might be?
Your location would be the third one.
Okay.
We have early voting locations at both of our recorder's offices now.
Anything else? Can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the mayor, or in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign Amendment Number 1 to the intergovernmental agreement with Yavapai County for providing election services to the town by electronic vote.
Second.
Clerk, please call the vote.
Vice Mayor Hunt? Yes. That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, ladies.
Mr. Mayor, we really appreciate and we really enjoy a great working relationship with the town of Prescott Valley, and Ms. Fernandez has been amazing to work with, so thank you so much.
To hear. Thank you. Next up, items 10C, Final Development Plan, FDP 21-004, Desert Pines Community. Mr. Gonzalez, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. This is a final development plan for Desert Pines Community. It is actually a manufactured home park consisting of 185 spaces on 72-acre parcel. 27-acre parcel. This is actually the site of where it is, basically on the corner of Fain Road and Highway 69, across the street from the new Maverick gas station and adjacent to the villages of Lynx Creek. As a neighbor, if you notice that Village Way is in yellow, a traffic study was conducted for this project, and it was found that Village Way will actually be at 73% capacity at the end of the build-out of this project. It is important to note that ADOT has actually approved a secondary emergency access onto Highway 69. And you can see that better down here on the road where it's coming out, the little elbow coming out on this site plan. This project will have amenities, clubhouse, pickleball court, pool, and other amenities as well. I understand there's going to be a dog park. Just like its neighbor next door at the villages of Lynx Creek, this is going to be an age-restricted project, 55 and plus. It does conform to the general plan. Staff at this time would recommend the council consider approving FDP Final Development Plan 21-004. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Will this be where they own the land as well as the manufactured home?
They will not.
They'll just own their manufactured home and they'll pay a rent for the land?
It's an RV park, yes.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, they're just going to rent the space.
Rent the space, correct.
Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
I have a question. So the entrance, the new entrance off of 69 is a right in, right out only?
No, that's going to be an emergency access only. Their
Okay.
main access will be Village Way.
And then I remember when they came to us and also to planning and zoning, there were residents that were concerned, which map? It would be along where the bottom of the hashed area is, where they line up with the pepper tree folks.
Yes, that's true.
And we talked about extra trees and stuff. Did that get in here? Because I didn't read it.
Yes, that actually did. There was a neighborhood meeting when we did the zoning map change, and it was well attended. And that was one of the key issue is that buffer between the property owners on Pepper Tree Way and this project. And there will be a buffer, a landscape buffer there.
Great. And I appreciate the developer consistently widening Village Way to 24 feet.
That is true. As part of the traffic study, they found that actually Village Way was 22 feet in some areas and 24 in others, and the developer has chosen to bring it up to the 24 minimum standard that the town requires.
Council, will you have anything else for Mr. Gonzalez? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor, or in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign resolution number 2022 through 2245, adopting final development plan FDP 21-004 by electronic vote.
I second.
Clerk, please call the vote.
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 10D, financial policy revisions, consideration and possible action. Ms. Peel, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Tonight we have 11 policies that are coming before you for revisions. With that, I'm going to briefly go over the main changes. In all of these policies, we updated them for formatting, as well as just consistency among the policies, and other minor changes to align with current practices. The major changes were budget amendment policy 4-02. With this one, it will allow the town manager to approve budget amendments that impact personnel services. What this means is if there were a issue getting staffing for certain positions, it would allow the town manager to procure professional services and move that budget appropriately to handle those needs of the town. It does not allow for adding additional FTEs or anything like that. Would have to come before council. Additionally, the operating capital, any changes to that could be approved by the finance director, myself. With that, we see a lot of small capital items, the ones that are close to the verge between operating and capital, where if the project ends up being less or a little more, then right now we make those departments take those items back to council. That would give us some flexibility with those smaller changes. With the next page, there's not a whole lot of updates other than the fiscal planning and management. We specify that capital improvement plan projects are $100,000 or more, and that'll just help refine our 5-year CIP, among other things. With our grant policy, it will also allow the town manager to sign the pre-applications for grants instead of having to bring those before council, as long as the grant match was budgeted, or if it doesn't require a match, or if the match doesn't exceed a $50,000 amount and wasn't budgeted. Additionally, we're going to increase the capital assets classification from $5,000, which it is currently, to $10,000. Just as we're seeing the cost of items go up, there's a increase in staff time for monitoring and recording those capital assets. So from time to time, we look at those amounts and change them. And finally, our biggest changes involve the purchasing policy, and the item following this item will actually be the code changes that are necessary to go along with the purchasing policy changes, because it does impact town code. With this, it would increase the small purchase amount from $2,500 to $5,000, so that means that It would not be necessary to get 3 quotes for those items that are under $5,000. As you all know, the inflation has impacted the ability to get products, and sometimes adding in that extra step for small dollar value items makes it a little more cumbersome than it need be. And for informal purchases, it'll go up from $29,999 to $50,000. And with that, those are 3 quotes that we require the departments to get. And then formal purchases are anything over $50,000, and that's a change from $30,000. That does exclude any improvements to real property per state law. With that, there's an amount that changes every year, so those will still be subject to the bid requirements according to state statutes. Additionally, the town manager will be able to approve and sign documents as long as they were clearly budgeted by town council during the budget process. And he will be able to approve unbudgeted items up to $50,000 and approve bid award changes in a greater amount than he currently can. And that's just to help streamline processes and match us to best practices. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council, we have anything?
Katie, when was the last time that we did this as far as revising the financial policy?
Most of our policies were updated in 2018, but some of them hadn't been updated. I believe our oldest one was the cash disbursements policy, hadn't been updated since the early 2000s.
Well, thank you so much for the time that you devoted to doing this. It obviously was necessary and is much improved.
Well, thank you. And I need to give a shout out to Mr. Legler, because he was instrumental in helping go through everything and make sure we were above board with everything, which is greatly appreciated.
With that being said?
With that, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor, or in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign resolution number 2022 through 2246, adopting revised financial policies 4-01, 4-02, 4-03, 4-04, 4-05, 4-07, 4-08, 4-09, 4-10, and 4-12 by electronic vote.
Correction, you need, there's an addition in 6-01.
Okay, and 6-01.
I second.
Clerk, please call the vote.
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on, item E, proposed town code amendment for finance policy revisions. Ma'am.
This is the corresponding town code amendments that are needed to change in our town code the related purchasing policy.
And as often is the case, is that clerk, again, I mean, who makes us do this resolution first and then the adoption of the document.
So can I have a motion for at least the first part, item A of it?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the mayor, or in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign resolution number 2022-2247, designating that certain document, quote, finance policy amendments as a public record by electronic vote.
I second.
Clerk, please call the vote.
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Next motion.
And B, I make a motion to read ordinance number 2022-904, adopting by reference that public record, quote, finance policy amendments by title only on 2 separate occasions, then place the same on final passage by electronic vote.
I second.
Clerk, please call the vote.
Councilmember Packard, thank you. That passes unanimously.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ordinance number 2022-904, an ordinance of the mayor and common council of the Town of Prescott Valley, a municipal corporation of Arizona, adopting by reference that certain document finance policy amendments declared by resolution number 2022-2247 to be a public record, amending in the Town Code section 2-02-040 powers and duties of the mayor in Article 202, Mayor in Chapter 2, Mayor and Council, Section 3-2-10, Town Manager in Article 3-2, Officers in Sections 3-4-10, Purchasing Procedure, and 3-4-30, Bidding in Article 304, Purchasing Procedure in Chapter 3, Administration, and repealing and reenacting Section 3-04-50, Performance Bond, in Article 3-4, Purchasing Procedure in Chapter 3, Administration, all for the purpose of authorizing changes to town financial policies that correspond with best practices, providing that all other chapters and articles and sections of the Town Code not herein repealed or amended shall remain in full force and effect, providing that if any provision in this ordinance is held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, the remaining provision shall not be affected but shall continue in full force and effect, and providing that this ordinance shall be effective 30 days after its passage and approval according to law.
Thank you, ma'am. Well done. Moving on, item F, proposed town code amendment, council compensation, consideration and possible action, first reading. Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is an item that I'm recommending to be reflected in town code as well as the preparation of the fiscal year 23 budget. In recognition of the responsibilities and the time commitment by our elected officials, and to make sure that when we do have elections, that we are doing everything to make sure that we are not precluding residents that would like to serve, otherwise be impacted by financial considerations. This is an opportunity to make sure that we are competitive in that way. This is a benefit that is commonly provided to elected officials in other jurisdictions across the state, and it basically will allow the council member to be covered as all town employees at 100%, and if a council member were to select a family option, that's covered at 60%. This, if it were to be approved, would not be effective until January 1st, 2023, which is per state statute in terms of any adjustment made to the compensation of city and elected officials. If there's any questions, I would be happy to answer. And we also have Finance Director Katie Pell here.
Mr. Davidson, I think you said it just to lead off that we're trying to get the most qualified individuals to be able to sit up on the dais, and this is just an opportunity to extend that to those individuals that wish to take advantage of such a compensation package. Council, have you anything else for Mr. Davidson?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to read ordinance number 2022-903 by title only on two separate occasions, then place the same on final passage by electronic vote.
I second.
Clerk, please call the vote.
The passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ordinance number 2022-903, an ordinance of the mayor and common council of the Town of Prescott Valley, a municipal corporation of Arizona, amending sections 2-1-50, compensation, and Article 201, council, in Chapter 2, mayor and council of the Town Code, to permit compensation of the mayor and council to include the choice of any of the same health benefits provided to town employees, not including retirement, life, and disability, at the same contribution rates as full-time employees, providing that if any provision in this ordinance is held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, the remaining provisions shall not be affected but shall continue in full force and effect, and providing that this ordinance shall be effective 30 days after its passage and approval according to law.
Thank you, ma'am. Next up, item G, fire hydrant project CIP number W515. Sir, welcome.
Mayor Pelguda, Vice Mayor Hunt, Council, thank you for letting me present the contract award for our fire hydrant project for the fiscal year. We received 4 bids on April 4th. Earth Resources Corporation was the low bidder at $173,863. We've worked with this company before. They're a great outfit. They recently completed a half mile of 12-inch ductile iron pipe in support of our Monkswell project. No issues on that project at all. So town staff has fully confident in this firm, and we recommend that we award the low bid contract to Earth Resource Corporation. Just a little background, we started evaluating some of the older parts of town where we were lacking in fire hydrant spacing around 2019. In 2020, we completed the PCC fire hydrant project, and we installed 13 additional hydrants in the country club. And we're proposing to install 12 new hydrants with this project. And we hope to continue this over the next few fiscal years and increasing our density of fire hydrants in the older core of town. Kind of what goes into each site, $173,000 seems like a lot for 12 hydrants, but it is a simple project, but there is a lot that goes into it. They're working in our right-of-way. A lot of time they're cutting into asphalt. They're exposing old ACP pipe. They've got to put a tapping sleeve on this pipe and test it, and there are challenges to these projects, so that's kind of what you're getting with each site. And obviously the goal of these projects is to try to get our spacing no greater than 500 feet between hydrants. It's a quick picture of some of the new hydrant locations. The red dots are existing, the orange dots are the proposed hydrants. Any questions?
Council, we have any questions? Vice Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, can you go back to the picture? The map?
Of course.
Can you tell us where this is? It was too small for me to.
So in the old kind of cross of town, this is like the middle section. So it's right sandwiched in between Unit 19 and Unit 20.
Oh, got it.
I think this is units like 1 through 5.
Unit 5 we're looking at right down at the bottom, right by Mountain View, or Mountain Valley Park, correct?
And ultimately, just to give you a little bit more information on this slide, is that we tried our best to find any possible location we could add a hydrant, because as you know, in the old part of town, we have a lot of 4-inch pipe, and you can't install a fire hydrant on 4-inch lines. So anywhere we could possibly add in hydrants in this section, we did. So we'd actually would have preferred to add even more, but this is the best we could do with the size of piping that's in this older part of town.
Council, have you anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to award and to approve a contract with Earth Resources Corporation for construction services for a fire hydrant project in the amount of $173,863 by electronic vote.
Can I have a second?
I second.
Clerk, please call the vote.
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Item H, Crosswalk Striping Project Phase 1, CIP number S516. Mr. Davis, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. The item I have before you is for a construction award for painting of crosswalks throughout Prescott Valley. We did talk about this particular project at our March 3rd work study, and a little background on that. You may recall that one of your quality of life goals or strategic plans of council was install 100% of crosswalks for safe street crossings annually. So staff has moved forward as expeditiously as we can to implement that particular endeavor, which we did have a public meeting back in October. We're still taking comments from residents where they'd like to see crosswalks put in, but the professional transportation safety consultant completed their study in January 6th. Upon that study, there was 41 crosswalks that we could implement immediately. So with that, we've generated, this is an interactive map that's been available on the Public Works webpage since that study came out. So I know residents have been using that. Each new crosswalk is delineated by a red dot, and or high visibility crosswalk that's got the cross hatchings, not just the ladder bars. There's locations for those, so this is 41 locations. We did send it out for contractor bid. We took bids on March 28th, and we did receive a bid from Hawk Contracting in order to perform not only the crosswalk striping, but there's signage that needs to go at each particular crosswalk location. I did want to point out, too, that we're not done yet. We're excited that with the current budget negotiations, we're looking at a Phase B coming out of the study that we're going to have to study at least 25 more locations. So as I mentioned, we'll continue, maybe even have another public meeting to once these 41 crosswalks become visible where residents would like to see them. Obviously, there's a good number of crosswalks that aren't recommended, but we want to work with residents to continue this program and actually put in 100% of the crosswalks that can go in. So that we're looking forward to that next budget year, that being funded, and continue on with Lee Engineering to do that. Getting back to the matter at hand, we did take bids, and we do have hot contracting is ready to start this particular project. And with the funding in place, we anticipate these 41 crosswalks could go in and actually be completed by June 15th. Be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Councilman?
I got a question. There was a article, editorial in the opinions on from the Daily Courier, and basically any pedestrian shall not cross any place except marked crosswalks. So right now in Stone Ridge, we're breaking the law every time I cross the street. So I kind of like to see this thing hustled up a little bit. I know it's just like a leash law. You're not supposed to have 5-foot leashes, less than 5 foot or more than. You can't enforce it.
But Councilman Packard, that's incorrect. Arizona law is at every public road intersection. It's in the study. Be happy to go over that with you. But every public road and intersection does have a crosswalk there, whether marked or unmarked, and the pedestrian does have the right-of-way. So you're not crossing the street illegally that you don't have marked crossing. So that's incorrect. I didn't see that article. I'd like to get that from you.
Oh, here it is. But anyway, press on is my point. Let's get these crosswalks in. That's what was in the our strategic plan. We're going to do the crosswalks. That was almost number one. We're only doing 40. It kind of bothers me. So. Anyway, don't have nothing against you. I'm just wanting to get more crosswalks.
Mr. Davis, when will we have the list of the second round of crosswalks?
They're already in. That's actually the Phase B. So
will you be able to send that to, just so we can all be on the same page in regards to that?
Correct. It was in that March 3rd work study program, but yes, the study's been available.
Absolutely.
We're happy
Can we
to send that again.
I just want a separate slide of that.
We'll send that separately.
That's all I'm asking for.
I'll do that right when I get back.
It's just, I know it's challenging on some things, and I'm sure you can imagine, Mr. Davis, that all of us up on the dais, we hear a lot, just like Councilman Packard advised in regards to crosswalks. And you see some of the crosswalks where they're busy areas, but for example, Long Mesa and Robert Road over by Backburner. Wow. I've never seen anyone walking over there. That's not really a well-traveled location in Prescott Valley. And then you go a little bit north, and there's another location, which again, it has the traffic load, but not necessarily the pedestrian traffic. So I think that's some of the challenges or some of the frustrations that perhaps the citizens, they see. I love what we're doing in Pronghorn Ranch. It's just like Councilman Packard said, we just need to just get it out there because that's what the citizens want.
Right, and it's always a recommendation of technical staff to have that professional report to make sure that we look at it comprehensively and use all the current federal criteria for putting in striped crosswalks and the signage for them. But yes, we're moving as fast as we can.
Vice Mayor.
Mr. Davidson, can you tell us just for the audience what the difference is between a red dot and a star?
Yes, what they've recommended here is the high visibility crosswalks. A regular crosswalk is just the ladder bars. They're 6 feet apart, so they cross. And then at high visibility, high traffic areas, it's nice that they put the crosshatches in between those white bars. They call them ladders sometimes, but that's where the starred locations are going to be. And I forget the split, but I think it's 10 of them that are going in versus, the high visibility with the cross hatching.
Do we know, Mr. Davis, if Granville is being Santa Fe Loop, is that getting crosswalks? Do we know that off the top of our head?
We currently added that as an addendum to this current study, so that's currently under study. We expect those results here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
And we'd like to add it as an addendum as a result of the last council meeting to hurry that up. It was one of the Phase B of the 25, but with lots of resident input, we went ahead and said, yeah, let's find that funding, study them, and we anticipate that at any time. Okay. In addition, I know the residents really want to look at the four-way stop. That's part of the engineering evaluation for safety, so we can have that evaluation here. And happy to bring that to you, but we will implement that. If they say crosswalks, we will add it to the contract and negotiate with by unit item with Hawk and get those put in.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And Mr. Mayor, too, I know you mentioned at the last council meeting we're going to look at the crossing here, you said at the police department. So this Phase B, we're looking forward to implementing all those and studying them and bringing it back to you with the recommendations from the consultant.
Thank you, sir.
So, Mr. Mayor, you may have answered this already, but if Phase 2 is in the budget that we approved for July 1st, how soon might we see paint on the road for those Phase 2 ones?
We'd like to not get started after approval of July 1st. That would take about 60, 90 days.
Okay.
And then from there, you send it out for bid about, another 2 months. I'd like to think after the first of the year, within 6 months. But you got to go through the study period.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
With that, I'd like to make a motion to award to and approve the related contract with the low responsive bidder, Hawk Contracting LLC, in the amount of $114,715 for the crosswalk striping project, Phase 1, CIP number S516 by electronic vote.
I second.
Clerk, please call the vote.
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Davis,
Thank you,
thank you,
Mayor,
sir. Last item, microtransit operation and oversight services, CIP number T510.2. Mr. Rodriguez, welcome.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. It's my pleasure to be with you here today to present to you town staff's recommendation on microtransit operations award. Here we have the service implementation timeline, just to provide you as a reminder. At the last town council meeting, you approved the transit system name and logo, and we are in the final stages of contract awards for a variety of microtransit services. Here in my third slide, so this is a summary of the microtransit operations Phase 1 of our service that the contractor will provide. We're going to have a shared ride, demand response service. The service schedule is also noted, as well as the operation of one dedicated vehicle and a non-dedicated vehicle pool. So the contractor will provide kind of that coordination and supervision of that non-dedicated or the taxi livery service pool. And then you'll also note that here you'll have the, here's a sketch of the service zone that we're looking to implement. So again, town staff is proposing to provide, town staff is recommending award to New Horizons Disability Empowerment Center. They are a local 501c3 charitable organization. They've provided transportation since 2001, I believe, to people with disabilities or mobility challenged. They currently have partnerships with NACOG and ADOT, and they provide service in about 5 counties here in northern Arizona. So this contract is for a 3-year initial period with an option of 2 additional 1-year periods. And as a reminder to you all, this is going to be expended via Federal CARES Act grant that will be for only 3 years. So past the 3-year period, we're definitely going to need a dedicated funding source. We are already underway looking at potential funding sources and doing some research on that, especially to provide that continuity and not a stoppage after year 3. So again, as a summary, we're basically going to have services for one dedicated vehicle, administration oversight, and a communications office for all that coordination within our transit network. So it's our town staff recommendation of award for the proposal and approval of and of its related contract with New Horizons for microtransit operations and oversight services in the amount of $895,869.
Sir, did you have multiple vendors?
So we had we had 2 options. We went through a competitive bid process, and we requested proposals from companies both within Arizona as well as nationwide. We had a lot of attention to it, but seeing that this is a very small type service, it was very difficult to obtain. So this was our second iteration of a contract. But the other option was we did solicit through a cooperative agreement that through Sedona, they've already received a contractor themselves for their kickstart of a new transit service. And so we were able to see if there could be an opportunity with that. but it is advantageous to the town to go with New Horizons for a variety of reasons.
Excellent, thank you, sir. Vice Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, Pedro, just for the benefit of our audience, the new service is not going to be disability restricted.
No, definitely not. So part of what New Horizons brings to the table is that assistance with people who are mobility challenged or people who have disabilities.
Thank you.
And that's also part of a federal requirement.
And I do have one more question, and I say this every time. We need to think about going to the VA, Yavapai College in Prescott, and now the Wheelhouse eventually.
Definitely. This is for phase 1, and we can definitely discuss for phase 2.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Council, you have anything else? I'll entertain a motion.
With that, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to award the proposal to and approve a contract with New Horizons Disability Empowerment Center for microtransit operations and oversight services in the amount of $895,869 by electronic vote.
I second.
Clerk, please call the vote.
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to item 11, adjournment.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Clerk, please call the vote.
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Ma'am. Thanks, everyone, for coming out.